Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, friends and colleagues. Good morning, leaders. I want to greet you this morning. My name is Dr. Stanley Maposa, and it is our program every Saturday that we come and discuss under the subject Leadership Lessons with Dr. Stanley Maposa. I'm very, very impressed at the number of viewers that are viewing our videos and following our YouTube channel. I'm also very impressed at the number of subscribers that are coming in and subscribe so that they can be able to access these videos on a continuous basis. I ask you to subscribe. I ask you to click the subscribe as well as the notification button that will enable you to know when we are online, and you can be able to join us as and when we are online. And you are able also to tell others to join us as we speak about something that is critical, which is leadership. Please subscribe, please share the broadcast, please comment, please tag others so that they can know when we are online. Today we are going to be discussing a subject that I'm going to entitle Determining Your Growth as a Leader. And I ask a question as we start: can you be able to determine if you are growing as a leader or not? Do you know how to measure? Do you know how to determine? Do you know how to find out whether you are growing as a leader or not? And I answer that it is absolutely very, very possible for you to determine that you are growing. Because if you are not growing as a leader, it means you are dying as a leader. In fact, when you recognize your progress, you also are able to imagine and show that you can be able to move from one level to another. I want to ask you a question: if you can really imagine how many of the books that you have read in leadership and how many seminars that you have attended in leadership have paid you off, have made a difference in your life. But however, without a set of indicators that you are going to use to gauge the impact of your development, you are just spinning a wheel. You are just wasting your time, in simple terms. On the other hand, when you recognize that you have progress and you have indicators that measure the progress of your growth, then you can be able to get what is called personal momentum. In other words, it encourages you when you know that whatever you are learning, whatever you are developed in as a leader is paying you, then you can develop what we call momentum. So how do you do it? How do you find out whether you are growing or not as a leader? How do you know whether you are actually growing or you are dying as a leader? I want to advance 3 points and we will conclude. 3 points that will ensure that you are growing as a leader, or that will show you that you are growing as a leader. The first thing, number one, you are growing as a leader when you are attracting higher capacity of leaders into your space. Can I repeat that again? You are growing as a leader, number one, when you are attracting higher capacity of leaders into your orbit or into your space. There is a man that is well known in the leadership space who is called John Maxwell. If you don't know John Maxwell, I encourage you to find out more about John Maxwell. I encourage you to read books that John Maxwell has written. I encourage you to, find out a little bit what he says about leadership. And every leader that I know of and that I'm talking to now should be able to find some books about John Maxwell if you are serious about leadership. John Maxwell says that if you are a 6 or you are a 7 as a leader, you'll never attract an 8 or a 9. If you are a leader at level number 6 or at level number 7, it is difficult for you to attract those that are at level number 8 and level number 9. So those are just levels, those are just numbers. What that simply means that if you are a leader at a lower level, you attract those that are in that particular level. If you are a leader in a certain level, at a higher level, you attract those that are in that particular bracket. In the Bible, there is levels of leadership. Leaders of 50, leaders of 100, leaders of thousands, leaders of 10,000, something like that. It's written clearly in the Bible when God was talking to Moses about how to divide leaders and ranks. So John Maxwell says, if you are a 7 or a 6, you can never attract an 8 and a 9. In other words, if you are a 6 and a 7, you'll then attract the 5s and the 4s to yourself. What that simply means that as you grow as a leader, your first indicator is to measure how many high capacity leaders are beginning to be drawn to you. If you continue to draw leaders within the 4s and the 5s, then you know you are operating in the 6 or 7. But as you grow and you start to attract leaders that are in the 8 and the 7 and the 9s, they begin to come to your meetings, they begin to consult you, they begin to call you, they begin to want to listen to you, they begin to want to come to where you are, then you must know that you are growing as a leader. The first indicator, number one, is that when you are a leader, you begin to attract a higher level of leaders. When you are growing as a leader, you attract a leadership level that is higher than your current level. So measure your current level and measure what kind of people you are attracting, what kind of leaders you are attracting in your team. And then you will know that you are growing as a leader. So if you are a leader and you are attracting people that you have matric in your space, then you need to work some more. And when you work some more, maybe you have a first degree, then you begin to attract people that have a first degree. When you go to masters, you begin to attract people that have a master's. When you go to PhD, you begin to attract people that have a PhD. When you go to professor, you begin to attract professors and high-level leaders. I'm just giving you an example from an academic point of view, but it happens everywhere, in every space. The kind of leaders that you attract, not just the audience, but the leaders that you attract, the leaders that are part of your team. I'm not talking about your audience and you check in the audience, who is there in your audience, and you're thinking that, oh yes, because my audience, there was 1 or 2 CEOs, then I'm growing. No. It means if you are a leader, you must attract, if you are growing as a leader, you must be attracting other leaders in your team who are of a higher level than your level. Then you know that I'm growing as a leader. Secondly, the second indicator that shows that you are growing as a leader is that your opinion is not only being heard, but your opinion is also being sought after. If people are just listening to your opinion, are hearing your opinion, it's part of growing, yes, but if you are growing as a leader, people are no longer just listening to your opinion, but they are also looking for you to be able to hear your opinion, to be able to find out what is your opinion on a particular subject. Watch what happens when you are seated around a discussion table, when it is time for key decisions to be made. When you are sitting in a boardroom or when you are seated in a particular meeting as a leader amongst other leaders, watch what happens in order for you to see whether you are growing as a leader. Watch what happens. Long before there is a show of hands, before the vote is taken, before people conclude on a particular subject they were debating on, the discussion leader will pause for some minutes and say, so what do the rest think about this? At that moment, people will watch and turn to your side and look at you and be able to say, are you able to make an opinion? Yes, I say that your opinion is not only heard, but is also being sought after. If you are growing as a leader, other leaders will first of all say, what do you say? Or they look towards you, what is your opinion before we vote? Can we hear from you? Sometimes they can even say, can we hear from so and so before we conclude this matter? It means you are a leader whose opinion should be heard. You are not a leader whose opinion should just be heard, but your opinion should be sought after. What do you say about this? What's your conclusion? What's your comment about this? How do you see this matter? Those are some of the questions that will be done in a table where you'll be seated. The discussion leader will look at your side, and everybody in the team will look at your side, because unless and until you say something, a decision will never be made. Unless and until your opinion is heard and sought after, the decision will not be complete without you saying something. I don't know whether I'm talking to you. Have anyone ever said that to you? Have leaders, even if you're not a leader, you're not a CEO, you're not a manager at your workplace, but in a meeting, every time they want to ask, what's your opinion? What are you saying? Then you use that to see that I am growing as a leader. So if you are growing in your leadership, then increasingly those heads will turn towards you. How many heads are turning towards you before a decision is made? Number 3. Indicator number 3, if you are growing as a leader, there is an increasing number of leaders in your circle. There is an increasing number of leaders in your circle. It's almost similar to number 1, but different. This is not a function of leadership attraction, as we have discussed it before, but this is a function of leadership production. Number 1, I said you are attracting a higher capacity of leaders into your orbit, but now you are increasing the number of leaders in your circle. In other words, now you are producing leaders. Growing leaders produce leaders. Growing leaders attract leaders. That was our number 1. Now our number 3 says growing leaders produce leaders. How many leaders have you produced? If you can sit down and really count to say, I produce so and so and so and so and so and so. And those are leaders at a higher level. Not just leaders, not just small leaders, not just as Mickey Mouse leaders, but leaders that are really doing a lot of tremendous work in the area of your ministry, or in the area of your expertise, or in the area of your work. What leaders have you produced? Growing leaders produce growing leaders. If you are indeed growing into the space of your leadership, in other words, if you are growing as a leader, you should see evidence of growing number of leaders emerging from you who are building into great works somewhere. So that's the third measure. There is no leader who is growing who will just enjoy limelight, will just enjoy fame, will just enjoy their name out there, and they are not succession planning. They are not building other leaders who will be able to take over from them. They're not building other leaders who will speak like them. They're not building other leaders who will lead like them. They're not producing leaders. We have a problem in our continent where we have got leaders that have been leading for years. And when you look at them, there is no one that they have produced. So I would say, in humility, you are a dying leader. You are not a growing leader. So to conclude this matter this morning, therefore, over time, watch those unmistakable indicators, those 3 unmistakable indicators, to become increasingly evident in your life. If these 3 indicators are evident in your life, then you know you are a growing leader. Number 1, you are attracting higher capacity of leaders in your orbit. Number 2, your opinion is not only heard, but people are seeking for it. Number 3, you are increasing the number of leaders in your circle. In other words, you are producing other leaders. If that happens, it will be signaling that your development efforts as a leader are paying you off. Thank you very much. I would like to close it here now. Can you please subscribe to our channel? Can you please comment? Can you please share with others? We want more and more people to be growing leaders. Thank you very much.